Well, welcome to the fight. A couple of weeks ago, it looked like spring had winter on the ropes, but winter has rallied and come back to beat the contender back into the corner. But spring has got to win eventually, and this afternoon it looks like it's going to clear up. The sun will come out. It's supposed to get up to mid-40s, so that'll be a good time to do our test shooting. So I'm going to get out to the range and see if I can set things up and get some targets up, and we'll be able to test this sweet little Patriot 243 Winchester this afternoon. Lucky us, we live in an age when we can buy perfectly functional and surprisingly accurate rifles for a song. This is a Mossberg Patriot Youth model, a Bantam Youth, and it sells for a suggested retail of about $460. That's quite a price because, man, I'm talking about back in the 1970s, I was paying $200 for a Ruger Bolt Action Model 77. Man, we've come a long way since then. Now, that's not to say that this rifle is the equivalent of that one. It doesn't have a walnut stock for one thing, but it sure shoots well. This thing groups remarkably well. I was doing a little bit of shooting with it yesterday, and I'll do some more, but it was shooting under MOA. And for $460, that's a pretty good deal as far as I'm concerned. So let's take a look at this Patriot and just see what it's made of and how they can make it so inexpensively and yet get it to shoot that well. Well, first of all, we've got the molded classic stock these days. It's inexpensive, but they put a nice finish on it. People are crazy about all the camo finishes. Here you've got one. Don't even know which one that is called. I don't keep up with that. But there's your camo, and you can get it in black, I'm sure, and a few others. But there's one option. And we will take the stock off and look at it. But before we do that, the action here is the standard Mossberg Patriot. It's a push feed action. It's got dual lugs up front. So it's a lot like a Remington in that regard and a lot of others, but it's pinned. The lugs up here on the head have this pin in them that hold them into the bolt body. So that lets it float a little bit and wiggle a smidgen so that can square up pretty easily once you've put it in to battery. Once it locks in, if anything's a little bit crooked in there, that's floating just enough so that it can square up to the barrel if they've built everything right. And the way this thing shoots, it suggests they do. So the barrel is a hammer forged. It's another way you can reduce prices these days. Hammer forging is a quick way to make a barrel and a surprisingly precise way to do it. You don't have any cuts in it. It's just hammered, literally pounded around a mandrel. So you don't have any chance for chattering of any carbide teeth that might be cutting rifling. So I think that contributes quite a bit to its accuracy as well. The rifle has just a 20-inch barrel. Obviously, this is a youth, and they're keeping it pretty small. You can see that the length of pull here is only about a foot, but there comes an extension with it. You can add on later if you need the extra length to 13, so it kind of grows with the shooter. This one is chambered for 243, which I think is an outstanding cartridge for getting new shooters started or anyone who can't handle a lot of recoil anymore. The barrel is at 20 inches. Again, that's in keeping with a good balance for a youth rifle. So this thing is balancing right about where it should under that front receiver ring, right about there. You don't want too muzzle heavy of a barrel hanging out, and it makes it a lot easier for young people, smaller frame people to maneuver. And I find it, I actually shoot with this myself, but I find it really handy in heavy cover. I took it on a cougar hunt several years ago with folks up at Flying Bee in North Idaho, and we were going through some nasty stuff and deep snow and lots of brush and climbing over deadfall, and having a short compact rifle like this really helped. And the weight isn't too bad on it either. This thing comes in right about 6.5 pounds. By the time you put the scope on it, I've got a Leupold VX3, 2.5 to 8, one of my favorites. And that adds about 12 ounces. I don't even know who made these rings, but they're probably adding another 4 ounces, maybe 5. So figure this thing coming in at around 7.5 pounds, all scoped up like this. So that pretty much, oh, here's a little extra feature. They've got recessed crown on this, and it doesn't do anything for accuracy other than it prevents dinging of the muzzle crown right there. A lot of guys will complain that they've gotten a rock in there or something, usually because they're carrying these things in the truck on the floorboard. But it's possible to ding that crown up and then you ruin your accuracy. So a recessed crown is a nice little feature. They've got it. A little bit of fluting up here doesn't amount to much, but looks, I think. Shaves a little weight off, but really doesn't amount to much. Fluting on the bolt. What's that good for other than looks? Well, it gives any kind of mud and debris a place to go when you run that bolt. You might scrape it off, but it lightens it up a little bit too, and it just looks classy. Some people like the look. There it is. Something you give up on these are steel box magazines. This is some kind of a nylon-y plastic, but it snaps in crisply and comes out neatly and stays in place. Never had any trouble with it, and it really holds and is really functional with the rounds you put in it. I find it a lot easier to load than a lot of the older-fashioned steel magazines, whether they're integrated with the stock and rifle, or they have a trap door that are opening on the bottom or dropping out like this. But these are just consistent. I've always been impressed with them. I started off not liking them because it looks like cheap plastic, but they're durable and they're consistent. When you load them up, they just plain work. It's got a good stiff snap and it's recessed up inside, so it's popping out without accidentally getting bumped and dropped out. At least I haven't done it yet. One thing I'm not crazy about, integral with the stock. This is molded, poured with the rest of the plastic, so you're not getting a strong steel trigger guard. Possible to snap that, I would suspect. I don't know how tough this is, but there's something that you would not be able to replace if it broke. You'll probably have to get another stock, but I can't imagine they cost too much anyway. Got a good recoil pad on the back of it. You can see it's got reasonable right in the middle. Is a little bit harder, but with a 243, there's not much recoil anyway. So that's about it. As you can see, it's pretty slick. Yeah, that thing, you can do the old one finger. Look at that. And I measured the trigger at about 2.5. Used a couple of gauges here. Try that again. Somewhere between 2 and 2.5. Yeah, there was 2. Now that is a lightning bolt trigger. You see those little lightning bolt cuts on it? That's similar to that Savage AccuTrigger. What that does is that is a block, so you can't accidentally drop the rifle and fire because this baby is blocking it up inside. And once you pull that out of the way, then you could literally drop the hammer and fire a shot. So the nice thing is, I don't know if you can see it, but if I put my finger on the trigger without pushing that center out of the way, you hear a little click, but it won't fire. Now it's locked up, so do that again and it fires. So it's a nice safety feature, and that's what allows you to turn that down. It's fully user adjustable from 7 pounds down to 2, and obviously got this down to 2. These aren't the most accurate gauges in the world, but I have a couple of them, and if you run them several times and get consistent results, you're probably right there. 2.25. Hi everyone. I'm excited to announce that we've expanded our Patreon tiers to 5, and we've added benefits. And we've named them after rifle cartridges. You can be everything from a little 22 rimfire clear up to a 50 BMG. Now, depending on the Patreon tier you choose, you can help select future content, get a sneak peek into our blogs and videos, and even get your hunting and shooting questions answered. You can get producer credit on videos, personal consultations, and an RSO gift box twice a year. So check out my Patreon account and become a part of our RSO community. Thank you. Thank you very much. The high was 36.33, the low 35.84, average 36.10, and the extreme spread only 49. Yeah, right beside the other one, but low. All right, high was 3,009. Our low was 2904, does that say? Yeah. And 2947. So our extreme spread 105, pretty high extreme spread. There's my 90 grain tipped Game King shots. Further spread than I thought. I didn't see that last one hit up there. The first two were the low ones. But so it looked like it opened up to about 1.25 inches there. And then my other really surprised me. That's another 1.5 inches. But yesterday, got that. At any rate, shows you the potential. And these are just 2 loads. I can work up a lot more, obviously. But as I say, it's a pretty nice little rifle for $460. Well, there we have it. You can see when you've got a new rifle like this and you get a good 3-shot group, don't go whoopee for joy thinking you're always going to get that. 3-shot groups are not all that telling. You need to shoot several, try different kinds of ammunition, and over time you will get a feel for what your average is. And you might find one load that just really shoots consistently all the time. So to get started, obviously, if I didn't have a lot of ammunition in this day and age of ammo crises, I would find something that shoots as well as any of this for deer hunting. You know, 1.5 group is plenty good enough out to 300, 400 yards even. But some of this is showing promise to go less than that. So I'd play around if I found more ammunition until I find the sweet spot. Now, something I want to tell you about what I am doing here, it probably shouldn't. I'm trying not to disturb this lightweight rifle, but I should probably hold the forend down. My technique is, make sure I don't have any ammo in here. It's kind of a bench rest technique. I'm not a bench rest shooter, but a few guys have told me some of the tricks. And with those rifles, they're so heavy that they can slide easily in here and barely. And you don't want to disturb them. So as you might have noticed, I didn't grip my thumb over. I held it like this lightly, and my finger will come off the trigger. That's not great follow through, but the rifle is jumping off of my finger. I'm just very lightly squeezing that 2-pound trigger, trying not to disturb that rifle. So let's see what it looks like without a cartridge in there and see if that rifle moves. So very light hold. That's what I'm trying to accomplish. But because the rifle is so light, it jumps and kicks a little bit much, and that might be compromising my accuracy. So the next time I work with this, I'll probably get a better hold on it. Try to anchor that baby down. That's it for now.